Well, good morning. It is the first day, and this will be the first breakfast. So let's go and look at it here. That is scrambled eggs with sausage. Now, normally, whether you were in the city or the country, you would have pretty much the same types of breakfasts. And so you'd have some kind of eggs, fried maybe, or poached, or whatever, with some type of meat. I left out the toast, because normally they'd have toast with maybe some jam and, juice or milk, and I'll have the milk. I think they had milk with every meal. I'm just not a huge breakfast eater, so this is all I could muster up for this morning, and I know the eggs look kind of funny. I fried them in the pan from the sausages and added some green onions, but I'm sure they'll taste great. So here's the start to day one. Okay, on to lunchtime. Most people had a substantial lunch back then because there was no snacking. Can you believe that? But depending on where you were, whether you were rural or city, or if you worked a job, it might be a little differently, because they didn't have microwaves to heat stuff up. So sandwiches were a really big thing, but so were stuff like cold chicken and pork chops, stuff like that. And soup was always a big thing. I remember my grandma making my step-grandpa, because my real grandpa had passed away years before. He worked at a factory, and in the morning she would make him sandwiches, sometimes like with meatloaf or something along the lines of that, or lunch meat, and she would put hot soup in a thermos for him, and there'd always be fruit or something she baked. So this, how old-fashioned is this, right? Olive loaf sandwich with some black olives, and then this is vegetable beef soup, not homemade unfortunately. I have an apple there, and then some nice hot Irish tea. So this will be a great lunch. I'm not going to be filming a dinner tonight because I have a family event for dinner tonight. So I will see you in the morning for our next breakfast. Okay, we are on day 2 of breakfast, and today we have oatmeal, and that's the old-fashioned kind, boiled on the stove, with brown sugar and cinnamon. I have a little milk on the side here because I like adding it to the oatmeal. Orange juice, and as you can see, that cup is not even near full, but I grew up in the 70s, early 80s, and juice glasses were way smaller than they are now. So I'm going to assume they were small in the 50s as well. And then I have some toast with jam over there. Now this would vary a little bit depending on where you were in the country. Like, you might have grits or cornmeal mush or something like that as a warm cereal in the morning. But I feel like oatmeal was pretty standard all over the place. And this looks like a really high carb breakfast here, and kind of high sugar too. But as they didn't really snack a lot, this was fine. This gave them energy and got them through till lunchtime, and I like all of this stuff. And the cinnamon's really good, especially in the winter, because that spice helps to keep you warm on the inside. So let's get eating here. Okay, now we're on to lunch, and I'm going to show you this used to be one of my mom's favorites, and I would never eat it growing up. I didn't care for it. My mom was born in 1950, so I'm sure, it was a treat for her to have that, because my grandparents, they were pretty poor, and they had 7 kids. So to have this, I think my mom almost treated it more like a dessert. But let's take a look. Yep. That's fruit cocktail on top of cottage cheese on top of a leaf of lettuce. And that was extremely popular in the 50s and 60s. And in fact, when I was going through that cookbook that I got, the 1956 Betty Crocker, oh man, you would not believe what people considered a salad, because this to them was a salad. This was cottage cheese and fruit salad. But Jell-O must have just hit the market or something, because they would put Jell-O with everything, and I mean everything. Not just fruit and vegetables. They did meat and shrimp, and here, take a look. So yeah, I figure this is kind of tame here. I can go ahead and eat it. It's not that bad. It's not that I, dislike it a lot. It's just not a favorite that I would normally eat. And I think they maybe would have a roll or a piece of bread to go with this here. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be filling enough for me. Okay, here is our first dinner. And it is Swedish meatballs. It was very popular in the 50s, and I think it's still pretty popular now. It's a great dish. So we have Swedish meatballs with noodles, over noodles, green beans, bread. They ate bread at nearly, every meal, and, usually I think it would be dinner rolls, but I had the bread instead. And then for dessert, we have some cranberry orange bread over there. They tended to bake all of their desserts, or not bake, but they made them themselves. And then a lot of times that would be also their snack, if they had snacks, like cookies or pies or cakes or along the lines of that kind of stuff. They ate kind of heavy. They didn't count their calories, but they also didn't sit in front of the TV with a bag of chips and a half a gallon of ice cream like a lot of us do. So I'm getting ready to eat. It looks good. Oh goodness, you guys. Can you tell I've been in a hurry this morning? It's going to be a quick breakfast and a little bit charred, but that's okay. So I'm just having toast and these sausages. And one thing, every time I make these, I always think of my grandma, because she used to call them porkies. And I think that was probably the common lingo back in the day for these little pork link sausages. Hope you have a great day. Hey everyone, it is dinner time, and I knew today was going to be a really busy day, so this is the day I'm making my one and only casserole. Casseroles were a new thing in the 50s, and women loved them because of the time they saved. So let's check out this one. I don't know, you guys. This is Spam and Noodle Casserole. And I like Spam, so that's not a problem. There's green peppers in there and onions and tomatoes. The only thing I'm not sure about is the black olives. I like black olives, but the only time I've ever eaten them warm is on top of a pizza. And there is cheddar cheese in there and cream corn. I'm finding that they did not use a lot of spices and herbs in the 50s, and I think they relied a lot just on whole foods and what their flavors were. And obviously Spam's not a whole food, but the other stuff kind of really is. They weren't really going out to restaurants a whole lot, and in the 50s when burger joints first started coming out. So yeah, let's give this a taste. Okay, we're gonna give it a try. Oh man, it's still really hot. It just came out of the oven. It's not bad. It kind of reminds me of the poor man's dinner that my mom used to make, that I still occasionally make. Only I don't put tomatoes in it. I don't know if I even put cheese. And I use ground beef. But yeah, it's good. I could see it being filling, and You know, it does have vegetables and stuff, although if I were to make it again, I'd probably put some garlic in there and maybe a few other little spices to jazz it up. It's not bad how it is right now, and I'm thinking that's probably because there's a good amount of salt in here between the Spam and the black olives, but something different to try. It wasn't too difficult. Good morning, everybody. We are having breakfast again. Want to take a look and see? Okay, today is pancakes. Now, I don't mind pancakes, but I prefer French toast. But anyhow, this will probably be the last of the breakfast I'm going to show you guys because they didn't have a huge variety. Yeah, you know, down south they had different things, and I'm sure like on the coast, different areas were particular. But like overall, we all kind of ate the same stuff. We just ate maybe more of it. They ate good-sized breakfasts most of the time, and I'm thinking that's how they got to lunch without starving. And they didn't have stuff like Pop-Tarts, and cold cereal was just coming on the scene. And so a lot of people weren't eating that yet. Excuse me. And the variety wasn't there. You had stuff like shredded wheat and puffed rice and puffed wheat, and I love me some puffed rice. I haven't seen that in stores and I don't even know how long. But so yeah, we're having pancakes with real butter and real maple syrup. I don't think the fake came on the market yet. Okay, here we are with tonight's dinner, and I realize now that you can't see the plate, but this is what we have. Ooh, let's see. Chicken fricassee on rice, and I have a half of a ciabatta roll for that sauce and gravy. I'm trying not to do too many breads, but disclaimer here, okay? One, I've never cooked fricassee in my life, and two, I've never eaten it either. So I'm not 100% on how it's supposed to taste. In the cookbook, I'll show you guys real quick again here, because it's sitting right here. This 1956 Betty Crocker cookbook, they didn't necessarily make it seem very appetizing. First off, they used a stewing chicken and cooked it for like 2.5 to 3 hours. I haven't used a stewing chicken since I raised my own. But when I tried to look up other recipes, most of those used bone and skin on, which I love those kind of breasts, but I didn't have any. So I had to go with this boneless, skinless. That was my only choice. I wasn't going to run to the store just to try and get these other pieces. And then, boy, I'm telling you, 50's America was bland. There's like hardly no spice in there. They did say, though, you could use, they made it sound like it was frowned upon. Well, if you had to, you could add some herbs and spices, you know, maybe like thyme or something. Well, I did add thyme. I added the thyme that I grew myself this last summer, and that's lemon thyme, and I really want to see how it tastes in this dish. When I did look at other recipes, they really did vamp it up. It sounds beautiful. They had mushrooms in there and heavy cream, and yeah, my recipe didn't have that. But even though it sounded kind of basic and whatever, this was American food back in the day, so I did it. Let me take my first bite and I'll let you know. First, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get just a tiny piece of this chicken here with a scoop of the rice with the sauce and see, well, maybe the chicken should have cooked a little less or a little more. Not sure, because maybe it's because it's these breasts. That part there. Okay, this isn't so bad. I was gonna say it's kind of tough. It's cooked though. Let me see here. Okay, we'll get some rice with this. Ooh, it's still steaming. Let me try just a little bit. I didn't grab a carrot, but it's good. Almost reminds me of like, kind of like a chicken pot pie with rice. The gravy or the sauce or whatever is really good. I did add a bay leaf in there. And instead of the water, I used chicken broth. But it's a winner. I like this one, so I'm going to probably make it again. Okay, tonight's dinner is Swiss steak. This is one of my favorites from a kid. And some of these dinners take a bit more preparation and just time than others. So I could see why they would plan ahead if they possibly could. And with any of these meals, if you guys want me to do a video on them, let me know down in comments, and maybe we can do that in the near future. So I'm gonna get eating. Would you look at that? Yum. That is American goulash. At least that's what we've always called it here in the Midwest. But I figure probably call it that all over the United States. Now originally I thought this was a 70s dish, but no, it does go back to at least the 50s. And if you've never had it, you really need to try it. It's super simple, it tastes great, and it is filling. Great on a cold day especially. But look what I made for dessert. Oh yeah, pineapple upside down cake. My waistline really does not need this, but this is a 50s staple right here, and people still make it a lot today because it's just so good, and it's not hard to make at all. And so you just got to watch yourself that you don't make it a little too often. But I'm really going to enjoy tonight's dinner. Okay, it's the final meal here. We are having chicken croquettes with sauce and mashed potatoes and peas and carrots. Now, I always heard of these, wanted to always try them, but I never did. And now that I have, because I snuck one, I like them. I like them a lot, and my son said that it reminded him of like a chicken crab cake or something, I guess. And that's, I mean, I don't eat crab cake, so I suppose it's, but so it probably is kind of like that. It was a little time consuming, but it was simple. You know, it's a lot of simple ingredients, and so we're going to have some of that leftover pineapple upside down cake too. Okay, so let me know what you think of all these recipes, and I don't know how they ate in the 1950s. Let me know if you still make any of these, or you know, if you want to share a recipe, that would be great too. And then yeah, if you want me to do a video on any one of these, just let me know. Thumbs up if you did enjoy the video. I appreciate you taking the time to do it, and it was nice talking to you. You take care.